Okay, we're in. This is the start of the Bristol Energy Committee meeting on June 17th. And we have a small group so far. We're hoping that a few more will arrive in the next few minutes. I'll just go over the agenda. We're going to hear about the window dressers, which is what we did last year. You all know, we were a part of that. Stephen was going to talk about that. And then I want to talk a little bit about the EV webinar, the electric vehicle webinar that I watched. It was on May 20th, and it was really great. And I think I'd like to get it put on the Bristol Energy Committee webpage if we feel like that's a good idea. I did put it out to Ian and asked him how he felt about it too. And then another thing I want to talk about is this Think Resilience online self-directed course that anyone can take, and it's put out by Post Carbon Institute. It's a nonprofit helping communities transition to more sustainable, resilient thing. And then another thing on the agenda is, well, the Bristol community in a roundtable. I thought it would be interesting just to see if anyone has any ideas and just to talk a little bit about anything we might want to focus on, or just what you're thinking around the Energy Committee. That's just a little chat at the end. So looks like Stephen has not arrived yet. So does anyone have anything to either add to the agenda or anything to say before we start? Okay. All right, let's see. Well, I guess I'll just say a little bit about the electric vehicle webinar. This is in case anyone else, I guess no one else is looking in, but this will end up being on Neat TV for anyone to look at. So I want to say stuff so that the public can know if they want. So an electric vehicle webinar was arranged by the Waterbury LEAP Energy Committee, and that LEAP stands for Local Energy Action Partnership. And this Waterbury LEAP is one of the most active energy committees in the state. And so they wanted to arrange this EV electric vehicle webinar with the Drive Electric Vermont. And they got a panel and they got a great presenter on there. And it ended up being a very good webinar with all sorts of information on the latest differences and similarities between hybrid electric plug-ins and all electric vehicles, all kinds of different models. You know, people had questions about battery storage and mileage and all sorts of different things. And so a lot of questions were answered. And they're fantastic incentives. You know, they're like a Nissan Leaf base price is like 30,000, but with all the incentives, you could get it for 17 something. And so it was just telling people about what are the incentives for different cars, and there's a lot of information. So that'll be available, I believe, on the Bristol Energy Committee web page on the town website, either today or in the next few days. It's a good way to learn a lot about electric vehicles right now. And I also wanted to say that Waterbury Energy Committee is doing some really neat stuff. They're called Waterbury LEAP. The LEAP stands for Local Energy Action Committee. I mean, partnership. And this Duncan McDougall is the chair of that committee, and he's just leading a lot of innovative things for energy committees around. And so I think I ought to check out that a little more in detail, because it might be inspiring for us. All right. So that's about it on the EV webinar. I guess, well, I could say, I'll say a little bit about this next one, Think Resilience. It is a self-directed online course with 22 different videos and little essays that really take a look at our history with energy and what is really going to be needed for resilience and sustainability as we go forward. And it seems like a really well done project done by let's see, what is it called again? It's Post Carbon Institute. So I will probably see if I can get a link on the webpage, but you can probably look it up under Think Resilience, self-directed online course, self-directed course. It's basically helping the world transition away from fossil fuels to build a more sustainable, resilient, to build more local, sustainable, resilient communities. And it's offered for free. That's a great thing about it during this COVID time. So people can get on there and sign up themselves and just go at your own pace, go through the different videos, different lessons. It's, it starts out with kind of the basic, the past 100 years, and then it goes from there. And I have only gotten to like the 4th video myself, and there's 22 or about 22. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. One of the things that I first heard about it, because a friend sent it to me and said, hey, it was pitched by or at least it's going through the Charlotte Library. So lots of people in the community have signed up for it, and they're looking at the things either in their own time, I think, and then they meet once a week at noon on Zoom to discuss what they learned in the last lesson. So they're going to meet 7 times and go through it. And it sounds like a really good thing for a group of community leaders to watch together, so that then they can work together on like, whoa, this is okay. Now we understand some things together. We're learning together how we could create more resiliency and how we can come together. And so I think it's going to be a powerful thing, but I didn't want to really suggest we do it until I looked through it, just to see what it is and be able to pitch it to more people, knowing what I was talking about.
And you found the first 4 episodes engaging, Sally?
I did. Yeah. When I was reading the titles of them, I thought, oh, I already know that stuff. Maybe I'd start halfway through or something like that. But then I started at the beginning, and it was like, okay, this is good for me to hear. I'm definitely liking it a lot and looking forward to it. I just started like 2 days ago, and I've been doing other things, so that's why I didn't. And they even say, don't binge on it, to see them, let each one really settle in so you can feel, because it's a lot of interesting stuff to think about. And I just want to say a few of the things that they talk about. The beginning is our converging crises, the roots and results of our crises. It sounds like, oh, that's gonna be a little boring and a bummer, but it's a good base. And I think they do a really good job of speaking and video, and it's really actually very enlivening. And then it gets into making change, thinking in systems, shifting cultural stories, cultural change, and neuroscience. Then it goes into resilience thinking, the 6 foundations for building community resilience. and then on to economy and society, relocalization, social justice, education, and then basic needs and functions. And that's, the last lesson is called review, assessment, and action. So anyway, I think it's well done, and I'll tell you more after I've seen it, but I'll also probably send it to you so you can take a look at it yourself if you want. And I really picture, then identifying a few people we'd want to invite to look at it together, or even put it out on Front Porch Forum and say, hey, is anyone in the community interested in looking at this stuff together and maybe having some discussions? So we're kind of looking forward to some things in our area to work on. All right. Anyone have anything to say?
That sounds good. Thanks for your work on it.
Good.
Great. Okay, now we're gonna get fast, I can see. So then the next thing is the update on the Bristol solar array. So I just got an email from Peter Carruthers a couple of days ago, and he said, have you heard that when we finally got site control, that is the lease agreement from the Bristol Select Board, Green Mountain Power's list had grown substantially as for them to check their line capacity for the AES3 power to go to a substation. So there, that means that it puts Acorn back to like October before they'll even receive word. So he says that's a severe hit to our schedule, but we are pressing on. So that's where it's at. Just wait until GMP has time to figure out stuff with the, hooking up the power to the substation. Let's see. Yeah, we're really getting down there. Since Stephen's not here. I think Stephen did say, maybe Carl, you and I got an email from him, I think, because we were going to maybe be going to some either meeting or something that window dressers were having. Right. I didn't go to that meeting. I missed it. I think you probably did. You were at school.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't really have the update for that, but I think the idea was it's not going to happen as usual, but it could be that this year we could focus on a few specific public buildings and really do some sort of assessment of what kind of energy could be saved by putting in these window dressers storms in those buildings. And already I thought it would be interesting to check out the library with those kind of leaking high windows. So that might be a project that we could do, we could look into that.
Sure. My wife is on the library board and is in a library board meeting right now, even as we speak.
Oh, that's great.
So I can run that by her.
All right, great. Excellent. So, boy, I think we're almost getting to the round table. So this is where, if you have any thoughts or ideas, we just get to talk around the table about Energy Committee ideas.
Well, I was taking a walk today and I was thinking about this meeting and I was feeling like kind of stymied by COVID. It's ground so many things to a halt that I didn't give it a huge amount of thought, but I feel like we have to get really creative to think about what we can actually really do in the present circumstances.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I think it might be then maybe worth doing something like this, like think resilience, where we can just do that and learn more, get more steeped in resilience and sustainability and what's going on as far as transitioning and what makes sense and all that.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. We could also explore what other energy committees are doing around the state, although they're probably having a similar thing we are,
Right.
as far as hard to think of what to do.
They may be, or they may have had some flashes of inspiration that we can just steal their good ideas.
Yeah, great. It's certainly an interesting time with such rapid changes in all kinds of things. There's a lot of change happening. Legislation is going to be shifting, and social justice, and education. I mean, schools and education. It's like, whoa, there's so many things to think about right now.
Right.
And yeah, so yeah, it's an interesting time. Very interesting time.
Sally,
There's a lot of. Go ahead.
No, finish the topic, and then this is.
I guess I was just going to say there's a lot of opportunity, as well as there's just like, whoa, it's almost overwhelming and stuff like that. But there could be a lot of opportunity if we're working together and making more connections in our local communities, I think.
I have a question. Going back to window dressers, the obstacle, well, there are many, but is window dressers are not creating frames and materials. Is that the roadblock to doing anything along those lines?
Honestly, I don't know exactly what, because I wasn't at that meeting that they just had a few days ago.
Yeah.
But it may be that they don't want to do the production part, but it could be they're concerned about people going into people's homes and doing careful measuring.
Right.
Like entering people's houses, in and out of people's houses, and then convening a group of people who are working closely together in a workshop to build them. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think all of those are certainly problematic, and maybe most problematic is the fact that they're going into homes. There may be ways to organize the production of it so that distancing is most. Well, no, I'll take that back. There's a couple of jobs that are one job in particular is a 2-person operation. I was just thinking back to what the role I was playing last time. And it was really a one-person job. Yeah. And so it'd be very easy to rotate people through, with in between shifts with sanitizing and all of that kind of stuff. So, I mean, we'll see what the meeting was about.
Yeah. Maybe Stephen has a recording of the meeting or something that we could look at, or he could give us a summary, something like that.
Yeah.
That would be helpful.
Yeah. I think that you're right, though, about if we were doing something like, just a library, we could get there when no one's in there and do the measuring. And then as a group, we can work together. We could get a team together to do it safely, I think,
Yeah, I mean, service people go into people's homes regularly, I suspect.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm just briefly looking at, so Stephen did send, and to my shame, I didn't read it, but he on June 10th sent kind of synopsis of the meeting. Let's see if I can synopsize his synopsis.
Maybe he sent it to me too, and I didn't notice.
It does look like the program will be suspended until the 2021-2022 season. However, one idea that has emerged is to see if there are any public buildings, schools, churches, libraries, etc. So yes, the library is a good idea there, Sally, where measuring could occur safely. and which have good potential for energy savings. Using this approach would leave significant hurdles, sourcing the insert kits, the wood components, and build workshop safety. If there's enough interest, we could explore further, starting with a conversation with window dressers on their receptivity and figuring out how it might work. A fair amount of the conversation was on the topic of maintaining and improving local awareness of the program and using time freed up by cancellation of this year's program to build community connections for future programs. Social service providers, business leaders, underserved populations in our community, etc. So that was his.
That's great. You know, I did read that. Now that I think of it, I didn't really write it down, or so that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So it makes me kind of start brainstorming in my head. Well, what, along with the library, what's another possible similar town building that we could focus on? Although the library might be enough in itself. Those are huge windows, and I want to guess they're single pane.
Yeah. 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 I think it's especially the little ones that are way up high all around the top. There are these little ones that are above the regular windows that looked like they could use it.
Mm-hmm.
And probably once they're up there, they would probably stay there.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or at least on the north side where there's less light damage.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? But I think that's a good idea. And yeah, and maybe, who knows? There could be a church or something. Might want it just to look into.
I'll ask my wife to bring it to a library board meeting, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. That sounds great. And maybe getting, well, you've got the wording there, but if Stephen thinks there's any other wording that should go with it, well, you can just ask about it, and then they can check in with us if they want to learn more.
Sure. Sounds good. I'll start the ball
Sounds
rolling
great.
on that.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, let's see. Yeah, I don't really have anything else. I think we might be leaving pretty early tonight.
Shortest meeting ever.
Really?
No, I really like the idea of the resilience project, though. I think that's something people get on board with.
Great. All right, I'll watch it so that I really know what it's all about, and then and I'll send it to you guys in case you want to look at it at all.
That'd be great. Thank you.
I would, yeah.
Yeah, I'll send it to the whole Energy Committee. And also, I don't know, and I think the EV webinar will be on the website, but I may put that in Front Porch Forum too, just in case people are interested in that from the Energy Committee. All right, great. Well, that'll be fun to get involved in that if we do that.
Yeah.
That resilience thing. Great. Well, now you got an evening, and it's still really nice out.
Yeah. I might work on my garden a little bit.
All right, great.
Perfect. All
Well,
right.
Thank you so much for being here. Good to see you all, and you two, the three of us, and Sean.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Shelley.
Enjoy all the lovely days coming up.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right.